I'm Jane Furze, I'm the Festival Director. Basically what that means is I have overall responsibility for the festival, which obviously spans at its heart the programming element of the festival, but also fundraising for the festival and actually the site, it's the festival site itself, right down to the catering. I think I obviously had a very strong base to build on, so I mean, the Cheltenham Literature Festival has always been an incredible phenomenon, but basically I would say what I have tried to bring to the festival is real variety and breadth of programme in particular. I have a very strong view that it's impossible to pigeonhole people. People just genuinely do not have narrow views and narrow interests. So my aim, I believe I've succeeded, if people can come to the festival and discover new things, dip in and out of new subjects, explore a whole range of different events and different interests. So probably at the heart of what I've wanted to do is really deliver a programme with great variety and depth. So when we plan each festival, we always start with a central theme. This year's festival theme is power, people power, and it came quite simply from a thought last autumn that actually the festival is a month before the US presidential election. So that was the first simple thought, and then what happened was we began to explore the whole concept of power from that. So we found that we were asking ourselves all sorts of questions about where does power lie geographically, so is it now west or east? Where does it lie? Does power lie with individuals or does it lie with the state? And actually how much power do leaders themselves yield versus the power that actually goes on in influencing behind the scenes? So I could go on forever, but you can see how many questions that theme sparked, and that's really where that provided a springboard for the theme of the festival. Oh, it's almost impossible to pick. It's genuinely impossible to pick a highlight, but I probably do need to name one of probably the more obvious things as my highlight. We actually hosted over 2,000 people on last Saturday at the Centaur to hear J.K. Rowling, and I think for me it was so special because J.K. Rowling was doing so few public appearances, and for one of those very few appearances to be at Cheltenham was really special for me, so that was an enormous highlight. And then other than that, I think perhaps highlights around things that we've tried to do differently this year. So for the first time we have a philosopher in residence, and we have a whole series of philosophy based events running throughout the course of the 10 days, which have been both amazingly popular and prompted fabulous discussion post-event, which I can hear when I'm wandering around the festival side. And that's something else I enjoy. That's one of the joys of the festival, is actually hearing people carrying on the discussion with each other after the event, and that's what we're here to do. I'd certainly say in terms of vision, I would certainly say more of the same. So I think some of the things I've laid out this year are genuinely what I want to continue to into the future. So absolutely the variety of programme. The other thing I would say I'm very, very keen to do is provide a whole festival experience. So I want people to come here and do more than just go to an event. I want them to be able to come out and go to the cafe bar afterwards, have a wander around the site, carry on the discussion with a group of friends or even strangers. So it's experience I'm keen to deliver beyond just the events themselves. And very, very importantly to me is I'll continue to build the family and children's side of the programme. So we've strengthened that this year. We've actually worked with Waterstones to introduce a whole new children's hideaway, children's activity zone, which runs every day throughout the festival, and there will be more and more of that going forward. That's really important to me. Yes, well, I think the whole. I think in terms of what's exciting coming up for the weekend, we've had a whole. I think we've had a very exciting 10 days. We have a very exciting 10 days in total. But I think things to look out for at the weekend. Just a couple of highlights for me is I think Ben Miller will be fascinating. He's one that's coming up. I have another one that I'm particularly interested in, which is John Sim. Actor John Sim joins us. The reason I'm highlighting that one is because actually actors like John Sim very rarely do this sort of thing, and actually I think what it does is give an audience unique access to somebody that they would never have access to under normal circumstances. And then we have a couple of what I would sort of deem as slightly smaller, kind of more, more special events. There's one in particular that I think is fascinating, which is Richard Burton's diaries. Robert Hardy joins us, who was a friend of Richard Burton's, and the story behind this one actually is that Richard Burton's diaries and private papers were bequeathed to Swansea University by his widow, and a completely, totally unique edition has been created of those diaries and private papers. And Robert Hardy joins us with Professor Chris Williams to actually discuss those diaries and those very, very personal insights into Richard Burton. So that's a range of probably 2 or 3 events I'd mention for the weekend. I see the value of a bookshop as actually being very similar to the value of a festival. So I think a festival allows you to discover things that you would never otherwise have discovered, and that's actually what normally happens to me when I walk into a bookshop. Is I may go in with an intent to buy something in particular. I can almost guarantee that I come out with 2 or 3 other books that I just discover in the course of browsing the bookshop or talking to the great staff who are around in the bookshop. So for me there is just no comparison between that experience and an online experience.